How to manage multiple rental properties efficiently. You own one rental property and you think managing it is tough? Imagine juggling 5, 10, or even 15 properties at the same time while keeping every tenant happy, every maintenance request handled, and every dollar accounted for. Sounds like a nightmare, right? Well, today I am going to show you exactly how real landlords are doing this without losing their minds. And by the end of this video, you are going to have a complete system you can start using immediately. If this kind of content helps you build real wealth through real estate, do me a quick favor and hit that like button and subscribe to this channel, because we drop new strategies every single week that could change the trajectory of your financial future. Now let us get into it, because I have 5 incredible case studies for you today that are going to shift everything you thought you knew about managing multiple rental properties. I'm Nelius, but before we dive into those case studies, I want to lay a quick foundation. Managing multiple properties is not just about being organized. It is about building a system, a repeatable, scalable machine that runs whether you are sleeping, traveling, or working your day job. The landlords who struggle are the ones trying to do everything manually, reacting to every problem as it shows up instead of proactively building structures that prevent problems in the first place. The landlords who thrive treat their rental portfolio like a business, because that is exactly what it is. Keep that mindset in your back pocket as we go through these stories today, because you will see that theme showing up again and again. Case study number 1. Meet David, a high school teacher in Ohio who slowly accumulated 4 single-family rental properties over the course of 7 years. By the time he had his 4th property, he was completely overwhelmed. His phone was ringing at all hours. He had 3 different spreadsheets that contradicted each other. Tenant payments were coming in at different times of the month through different methods, and he had no idea who had paid and who had not until he physically sat down and cross-referenced everything. One month, he almost missed a mortgage payment on one of his properties because he lost track of the incoming rent. That was his wake-up call. David made one fundamental change. He standardized everything. Every lease renewal was rewritten to require rent due on the 1st with a grace period until the 5th. Every tenant was transitioned to the same payment method. He created one master document for all 4 properties that tracked leases, payment status, maintenance history, and upcoming renewal dates. Within 90 days, his weekend hours spent on property management dropped by over 60%. The lesson here is brutal simplicity. When you run multiple properties, inconsistency is your enemy. Standardize your systems, your lease terms, your communication style, and your processes so that managing property 4 feels exactly like managing property 1. Case study number 2. Let us talk about Maria, a real estate investor in Texas who owned 7 rental units spread across a mix of single-family homes and a small duplex. Maria was actually pretty organized for someone managing that many units, but she had one massive problem. Maintenance was destroying her weekends and her sanity. She had no system for handling repair requests. Tenants would call her directly, sometimes at 8 in the evening, sometimes on Sunday mornings. She would then scramble to find a contractor, get a quote, approve the work, and follow up to make sure it got done. Multiply that by 7 units and you can imagine the chaos. Maria solved this by doing 2 things. First, she created a clearly written maintenance request process and included it in every lease agreement and tenant welcome packet. Tenants now submitted requests through a dedicated email address, not her personal phone. Second, she built a preferred vendor list. She identified a plumber, an electrician, a general handyman, and an HVAC technician she trusted, negotiated preferred rates with them, and authorized them to handle jobs under a certain dollar threshold without needing her approval every single time. Within 4 months, Maria reclaimed her weekends entirely. emergency calls dropped dramatically because tenants now understood the proper channel. And because she had pre approved vendors with agreed upon rates, she also started saving money on repairs. The lesson from Maria is that reactive management scales terribly. Build a proactive maintenance infrastructure before you need it. Case study number 3. This one involves a couple, James and Patricia, who owned 11 rental units across 2 cities and were seriously considering selling half their portfolio because the stress was unbearable. Their biggest issue was not systems, it was their tenant screening process, or rather, the complete lack of one. They had taken shortcuts over the years when units were vacant and they needed cash flow. They accepted tenants without proper background checks, overlooked red flags in rental history, and once even accepted a sob story in place of verifiable income documentation. The result was a nightmare cocktail of late payments, property damage, and 2 evictions within a single calendar year. James and Patricia made a decision that changed everything. They committed to a strict tenant screening process and never deviated from it again, regardless of how long a unit sat vacant. Their criteria included minimum income thresholds, credit history review, rental reference verification, and a criminal background check. They created a one-page screening criteria document and gave it to every prospective tenant upfront, so there was never any question about what was required. In the 12 months following that decision, they had 0 evictions. Their average tenant stayed 17 months longer than previous tenants, and their repair costs dropped significantly because better tenants took better care of the properties. Never rent out of desperation. The cost of one bad tenant far exceeds the cost of one vacant month. Case study number 4. Now, here is one that might surprise you. Sarah is a property investor in Florida who managed 9 units almost entirely by herself for 5 years. She had great systems, great tenants, and a solid vendor network. By almost every measure, she was succeeding. But she came to a realization one afternoon when she was calculating how many hours she was spending on her properties each month versus what she was actually earning per hour from that time investment. The math was shocking. She was spending roughly 40 hours a month on property related tasks, and when she divided her net profit by those 40 hours, she was effectively earning less per hour than some of her tenants were making at their day jobs. The problem was not that she was doing things wrong, the problem was that she was doing everything herself when she had grown beyond the point where that made financial sense. Sarah hired a part time property manager to handle tenant communications, coordinate maintenance, and conduct routine inspections. Her own role shifted to high level oversight, financial review, and acquisition planning. Yes, she paid a management fee, but her effective hourly return increased dramatically, and she was able to focus her energy on identifying and acquiring 2 additional properties that year, which grew her overall net worth far more than the management fee cost her. The lesson Sarah teaches us is that time is your most finite resource. At some point, efficient growth means strategically delegating, not doing more yourself. Case study number 5. Last but absolutely not least, meet Robert, a retired military veteran in Georgia who built a portfolio of 14 rental units over 12 years. Robert was meticulous by nature, a trait he credited entirely to his military background. But even Robert hit a wall when he reached double digits in his portfolio. His challenge was financial organization. He had multiple bank accounts, multiple income streams hitting at different times, and expenses coming from everywhere. At tax time, he was spending 3 full weeks trying to reconstruct his financial records for the year, often finding errors and missing receipts that cost him legitimate deductions. His accountant had actually started charging him extra because of the preparation time required. Robert restructured his entire financial system. He set up a dedicated bank account for each property, created a simple monthly reconciliation habit where he categorized every income and expense at the end of each month rather than waiting until the end of the year, and began working with his accountant quarterly instead of only at tax season. He also started documenting every capital improvement and maintenance expense with photos and digital receipts stored in an organized folder system. In the first tax year after implementing this system, Robert identified over $9,000 in legitimate deductions he had previously missed. His accountant fees went down because the books were clean and organized, and he finally had a real-time picture of exactly how each property was performing financially. The lesson from Robert is that financial clarity is not optional when you are managing multiple properties. It is the foundation of every smart decision you will ever make as a landlord. Now, let us talk about what all five of these case studies have in common, because this is where the real gold is hiding. David taught us standardization. Maria taught us proactive systems. James and Patricia taught us the irreplaceable value of rigorous tenant screening. Sarah taught us the power of strategic delegation. And Robert taught us that financial organization is the backbone of a healthy portfolio. Every single one of these investors was struggling not because they lacked ambition or work ethic, but because they were missing structure. And structure, my friends, is something that can be learned. It is not innate. You do not have to figure it out through years of painful trial and error like these five did. That is actually exactly why I created the Effective Property Management course. This course is a comprehensive, deeply practical program designed specifically for landlords who are serious about managing their properties like a business. Whether you currently own one property or 20, this course gives you the frameworks, templates, tools, and strategies you need to build a management system that scales. We go deep into tenant screening systems, lease structuring, maintenance workflows, financial organization, vendor management, and how to know when and how to bring in professional help without losing control of your investment. You do not have to learn these lessons the hard way. Everything in this course was built from real experience and real results. If you want to become a member and get full access to everything inside, just click the link in the description below and you can get started today. Now, I want to give you 3 practical action steps you can take this week, regardless of where you are in your journey, because I never want you to walk away from one of these videos without something immediately actionable. Action step number 1, audit your current systems this week. Sit down with a blank piece of paper and write out every recurring task you do as a landlord: collecting rent, handling maintenance, communicating with tenants, reviewing finances, renewing leases. Then next to each one, write whether you have a clear documented process for it or whether you are just winging it each time. That audit alone will show you exactly where your biggest inefficiencies are hiding. Action step number 2, standardize one thing before the week is over. Pick just one element of your landlord life that is currently inconsistent and standardize it. Maybe it is your rent collection method, maybe it is your maintenance request process, maybe it is how you onboard new tenants. Pick one and build a simple, repeatable process around it. Small wins compound fast. Action step number 3, have an honest conversation with yourself about your time. Are you spending your highest value hours on tasks that actually grow your wealth, or are you buried in tasks that someone or something else could handle? Time awareness is the first step toward making better leverage decisions. Here is what I really want you to take away from today's video. Building a rental portfolio is not just about buying properties. That is honestly the easy part. The real work, the work that separates investors who build lasting wealth from investors who burn out and sell, is in how you manage what you own. Systems are not sexy, processes are not exciting, but they are the difference between David losing weekends to chaos and David getting those weekends back. They are the difference between James and Patricia evicting tenant after tenant and building a stable portfolio that generates consistent income. They are the difference between Robert scrambling through tax season and Robert calmly receiving his accountant's report knowing every number is exactly right. You have the capacity to build something extraordinary with your rental properties. Do not let disorganization be the thing that stops you. Before I wrap up today, I just want to say how much I genuinely appreciate every single one of you who watches these videos and comes back week after week. If you are getting value from this content, please take a second to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a new video. We work incredibly hard to bring you real, actionable, no fluff content about property management and real estate investing, and your support means everything to us. If you have a specific topic you want me to cover, drop it in the comments below because many of our best videos have come directly from viewer requests. The journey from owning your first rental to managing a thriving multi-property portfolio is absolutely possible. These 5 people we talked about today, David, Maria, James and Patricia, Sarah and Robert, they are not superhuman. They did not have some unfair advantage. They simply learned, adjusted, built better systems, and kept going. You can do the same, and if you want a structured path to get there faster and with far fewer costly mistakes along the way, remember to check out the Effective Property Management course through the link in the description. Become a member today and get access to everything you need to manage your portfolio with confidence, clarity, and control. Now go take that first action step this week. Audit your systems, standardize one process, and be honest about how you are using your time. Small, consistent steps are how ordinary people build extraordinary portfolios. I will see you in the next video.